I go back, I don't know, 40 years, something like that. And all the way through the Inside Edge and the Mastery Circle and Impact and lots of things. And I've known her, and she has never, ever stopped trying to contribute to people her entire life. And all of a sudden she finds herself at 80. And all the things that come when you reach that age or around about that age. And so the question is, what's next? And the word encore appeared to her. I'm sure she'll explain that. But it's like encore at 80. And it's like, how do you make your life meaningful and powerful? This is one of the most elevated, wonderful spiritual women really in the world. She's just amazing. She's had two marvelous husbands and had to go through the grieving and loss of them and still keep going. And she's very active. She's written a bunch of books, and she's doing seminars and everything right now. So she's a wonderful model for all of us. So with that, I'll just turn it over to Diana.
Oh, thank you, Tim. You've been such a soul brother to me so many years. I'm so grateful for your words. I'm really thrilled to have a completely different audience today. You know, this audience is unique in that you are already my soul family. We go way back. So many of us have threads that have connected us for so many years. And I often tell my writing students, and even people who ask me about speaking, that the audience won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And so my intention today in speaking with you is that you end up feeling empowered to really be able to use different tools that I'll share with you to lift your own spirits. I think this is the most important thing that we can possibly learn how to do in our lives, because we really come in here with a purpose, I believe, of having a core wound of some kind. And our purpose is to realize that our choices make this wound either a curse or a gift. And so I'm going to share my core wound with you in order that you understand what's motivated all of what Tim had to say, really. I was born into a family where my father was manic depressive. We didn't know those words in those days. I just knew that he was demeaning and terrorizing. And my brother and I were sent off to boarding school, and I was in the 4th grade. And this boarding school was only about 3 miles from our home. I came home on weekends, but there were no other there were no other boarders in the lower grades than me, and I had my own wing. So loneliness, real loneliness, just wandering the grounds of this school and so on. That was my core wound. And it really explains every step that I've taken in my life so far. So luckily I had a brother. I just have to throw this in. My brother is amazing. And he couldn't stand me when I was very young, but when he became a teenager, we became very close. And he was on a mission to discover the meaning of life and what was the true religion. And he would drive me around in his car and take me to the Catholic Church, to the Jewish temple, to the Self-Realization Center. And he wanted to find out everything. He ended up founding the Department of Religion at the University of Washington. And I wrote him a letter not long ago telling him how meaningful he'd been in my life, because he had modeled for me a truly good man. And I luckily, fortunately, and not accidentally married two amazing men. I have a huge respect for men and the goodness in them, and they feel that. So going on, I could just talk about how lonely I was. It was really pretty awful being in my family, except when we would watch like Uncle Milty or Red Skelton or some of the early TV programs, and we would all laugh together. These shows sparked delight. And in that feeling of laughing together with the family, there was this connection, you know, I mean, I could just feel that there was something wonderful about that. It almost felt like it was magical. This feeling that would flood us of shared enjoyment. And I had a grandmother. My grandmother was amazing. She was an entrepreneur. Her husband didn't work, and she ran a boarding school, a boarding house down on Virgil Avenue in Los Angeles, and raised chickens. And she would go out and grab a chicken by the neck and pluck it and make fried chicken for dinner. And she was amazing. And she would also sew and create beauty around her. There was something about her that I just so resonated with, watching her prepare food and putting it out on the table, and everybody would sit there and there would be a feeling of family and a feeling of connection. And that really resonated with me. And then she and my mom would make jam sometimes, and there would be this feeling of preparing something that people would enjoy. So I began to wonder how I could spark some enjoyment in people. And I learned to tell riddles and jokes and practical jokes and do magic tricks and things like that. And I came alive when I was doing that. That made me feel like I was on my purpose. You know, I didn't know those words or that concept at that time, but it was really, really amazing. And I never cared about studying in school. Of course, I was just a girl and I wasn't expected to do anything. Somebody would have to take care of me for sure in my father's eyes. But fortunately, I'd always been passionate about cooking. And I ended up I left UCLA and went to Paris and lived there for a while and studied at the Cordon Bleu just because I was so interested in cooking. You know, I just love recipes and the feeling that I was putting blessings in every bite that somebody would enjoy. And so that was a passion. And when I first, I do have to explain that there's been some magic in my life. I know most of you really know my stories, and you know my Elvis story, that I announced to my sorority sisters that I was going to date Elvis. And 2 months later, I met Elvis and he invited me out, and I actually ended up knowing him over a period of 2 years. But I tell you this because it gave me a trust that there is so much magic that is available. We'll never really figure out how this whole thing works, but that we can tap into an inner knowing, that we can tap into, you know, serendipity, coincidences, all those things, if we begin to trust them and really listen and to ask questions all the time, that answers can come, that this is the real magic of our lives. I often talk about expecting magic, but just asking question every morning. I ask, where's the most joy to be found today? What is the most efficient way that I can light up the world? You know, Jan Phillips says, remember, you came here to light the world. And I do believe it's everybody's purpose is to light this world in some way, to find their unique gift and express that and be a fountain of that into the world. So getting back to trusting the questions and so on, I really have always just asked. I learned journal writing. I studied journal writing at UCLA. I took a lot of courses in Progoff's journal writing. And in that process, you do begin to have dialogues. You can create a dialogue with an entity, a wisdom figure, someone who's already passed. You can create a dialogue with a project that you're beginning and really connect with the heart of that. And you do this in specific ways that I've taught in my journal classes, of making like a list of 10 stepping stones that whatever this entity is you're going to dialogue with, what the context of them was about. When I did one with my late father, I made a list of his 10 stepping stones in life. And he was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, in the deep South. He was 50 years old when I was born. And his father died when he was 13, and he was in charge of his whole family, which gave me a whole different, as you see, a perspective. And I began to have this connection to him. And then I could actually ask him questions and listen and so on. So I think that this Encore thing is really all about asking. And the whole Encore concept came to me in a very, very wonderful, weird way, because I've always known that the other side is very available to us. Some of you have read my book, Send Me Someone. It's the story of how my first late husband, when he was dying, said, I don't want you to be alone. And I said, send me someone. And he said, I will. And he did. And over the next few months, 2 months later, Ted Wentworth walked into the Inside Edge, and we were married 6 months after that. But during that time, there were all sorts of signs that Paul had really sent him. It was really very eerie. And if you want the background of the Inside Edge and all of the stories that go along with how this all came about and how the Mastery Circle was formed, that book you can buy on Amazon for less than $1, a used copy of it. And it has all the answers that you want. But I really began to really love asking. And I live in questions all the time. I call them quintessential questions. And then the time came when I had a heart attack suddenly. I told Ted that I wasn't feeling very well. We were about to walk around the island. Luckily, he was very tuned in, got me to the hospital. And I was only there 3 days. They put in 4 long stents. And that was a wake-up call for me, really. It's really put me into a state of wondering what my life had been really about, what the meaning of it was. And I also got involved with the American Heart Association. And any of you who've worked with them, you know that they're really not at all about the spiritual heart or the emotional heart. They're about the physical heart, the symptoms, knowing what the symptoms are. They're all about fundraising. But I decided that I was going to write a book for the American Heart Association that was really about the full spectrum of the heart. And here's a copy of it. You can download it on my website, dianawentworth.com. You can download an online copy of it. And the subtitle of it is Follow the Red Thread to a Heart-Centered Life. So I want to talk about this red thread because this red thread is really where the whole Inside Edge came from and what has made my life really work. The Chinese have a legend that there is an invisible red thread that when each of us is born, we are connected by this invisible red thread to everyone that we are destined to meet, and that this thread may tangle, but it will never break. And the Inuit culture believes that a red thread weaves together the meaning of our lives. And in the Hindu tradition, a red thread puts together the beads that we recite our mantras to. And Jung stated that a red thread is really rooted in our memory as a connection to the red cord that connected us to our mothers. And in quantum physics now, there's a whole string theory, and it's often referred to as a red thread. So this seemed like a very mystical and wonderful way to write a book for the American Heart Association because our bodies, our hearts are connected with all these red threads of our blood capillaries and everything that go through our whole body. And it just feels like this red thread is something that can lead us and guide us, and we can tune into and we can question for just such a beneficial life. So some things that began to happen, I was led from my first marriage, which was amazing. Paul was one of the most creative, wonderful human beings in the world. He liked to be in the background. We created the Inside Edge, and he let me just kind of be really creative with it and book the speakers and everything, but he was always there making things happen in the background. And then Ted Wentworth was quite the opposite. He was quite the character, a lot like Robin Williams, actually. And he startled me into letting him lead for a while, and that was really, really great. And then all of a sudden, here I am, as Tim said, at 80, finding myself in a place of, the first time in my life, of absolute pure sovereignty, and not accommodating myself to anybody else's presence. And at first that made me a little bit giddy. It was very weird not to have that other person's likes and dislikes be such a major part of my life, and to choose every minute what I might guide myself, what might draw me. One of my early mentors was Peggy Bassett. She was the minister of the Huntington Beach Church of Religious Science, and she would have audiences of 3,500 people on a Sunday morning. And she and I would hang out together sometimes. And one time I was kind of flopping around trying to figure out what I should be doing and trying to be perfect, and not realizing yet that people aren't drawn to perfect people at all. They're drawn by how somebody makes them feel, how they wake up inside, how they resonate to the person. And she said to me, "Diana, are you driven or drawn?" And I thought, oh my God, that's the best question anybody ever asked me. And it certainly fits with the red thread, doesn't it? Because the threads, the things that we can tune into just begin to light us up. So I've always been very good at lighting myself up and not letting myself get depressed, because I was so depressed as a teenager. And finding a way to be a fountain, finding a way to reach out to somebody, and through that connection have a new feeling, and have that other person have a new feeling. So when the idea for the Inside Edge came, of just gathering people, at first I thought it was all about food. My first career was about cookbooks and a cooking school on the Sunset Strip, and a TV show on cooking, and 6 cookbooks that Paul and I wrote. And I thought it was all about the food. But boy, when we went to Russia, where I met Michelle Gabriel, who's in our audience today, the Soviet Union, and we were supposed to go out and connect with Soviet people randomly. And we were being filmed for a documentary, and it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. But what we saw was that the people that were on that tour were connecting by just sharing their experiences of going out and getting lost on the subways and doing all the confronting things that we had to do in order to create a dialogue with Soviets. That people were sharing information. People were giving resources to each other and cheering each other on. And my God, the Inside Edge, when it began 36 years ago, that's what it was. I mean, it was just all these people. It was the beginning of networking, but it was also the beginning of networking for a higher purpose, for empowering people, for people to show up as what their dreams were, and to see each other on a deeply authentic level, which is what I enjoy so much about this group, is that the deep authenticity that we have just in our spiritual check-in takes us into our hearts, takes us into what we really care about. And the sharing of that is truly what lights me up. I need to tell you about something that has been incredibly magical for me. Oh, Mary Kelly is there. I just saw her. She just gave me a little signal like that. I didn't expect her to be here because she's in Hawaii. But anyway, she's such a great friend and a perfect partner of mine. So anyway, shortly after Ted passed, we'd always been interested in a product called Newcom. It was brought to me by another one of my soul brothers, a man named Craig Marshall, who was a monk with Yogananda's group for 35 years. And this was a product that was supposed to make meditation really easy. And that was the only context I had for it. And it was very, very expensive. It cost, I think it was $6,000. You had to have special earphones. All the software was in the earphones. And we tried it. Ted and I both tried it. We've both been meditators for over 50 years. We've both been inducted into transcendental meditation in 1970. So this was really interesting to us, and we did like it. I mean, it was really great, but it was not practical at all. But luckily, Craig Marshall reminded me and informed me that Newcom had become an app, and that you could have it on your phone, and you could have it on your iPad, and listen to it on earphones. So I downloaded it and I started listening to it shortly after Ted passed, because normally I would be hopping out of bed to fix him breakfast and all of that, but my mornings were different now. I could do whatever I wanted. And so I began listening to the 30-minute and then the 40-minute and then the 70-minute or the 90-minute track that they use for stress, which is called Rescue. And this takes you into a very, very deep meditation. And what I began to notice after about 2 weeks was that it was not only taking me into the transcendence that I was used to in meditation, but it was taking me into a bliss, an absolute tuned in, aware, problem-solving bliss. And I began depending on this and realizing how magical it is. It has a lot of other features. It has, because it controls the brain waves, takes you into different mental states and different, alpha and delta and all of these different places. There's one called, I forget the one, Tony Robbins is one of the spokespersons for it. And he insists that everybody that he works with on a high level uses Newcom. And his is, what is Tim? Tim is very involved in this too, because I introduced.
Yeah, it's called Ignite, the warrior thing.
Yeah, the warrior brain and Ignite. This is very, very intense. This is the kind of feeling we used to have at Impact when we had to produce and we had to do something really focused and it's not something that I really use. It has a track for sleep. It has one called Reboot that takes you into alpha creativity that you don't need earphones for, and you can just write. I do all my writing to the Reboot track. It has a 20-minute power nap called Recharge. And they just came out with one called Focus. And oh my God, I began just loving how I could use this particular tool to take me into mental states that were really beneficial. So I had to call Tim about it and told him all about it, and he got intrigued. And I reached out to Newcom, who thought, oh, well, who is this little 80-year-old widow, And they were just kind of patting me on the head, but I was telling them, how magical it had been in my life. So Tim said, well, let's create a PowerPoint. The president of Newcom and his brother, who is the marketing director, happened to be coming to see me in Palm Springs. And so Tim created, how creative Tim is. Tim ran a team that neutralized all of the poison warheads in the world. He's just one of the most genius human beings. And so he created this super imaginative PowerPoint that we could show to these two men who were coming to my house. So they sat down, we all sat in front of the computer, and Tim did this incredible, it absolutely blew their minds. It was so much fun to watch. They laughed out loud numerous times because he had a picture of the president, like Dick Van Dyke, like the one-man band doing everything. And, and he did this whole thing on the future of Newcom and what it could become, because they weren't thinking of it as this incredible consciousness thing. They've been marketing it to athletes and to the military. All the military forces all over the world use the rescue track for stress and for the people who are out on the front lines and all that they're dealing with. But I was saying to them, it's for elders. Elders care so much about their mental function. And women, they didn't even have anything in there for women. And so finally, I just had the courage to do a big ask. And I picked up the phone and I spoke to the president. And I said that I think that you really need me. You need me to be a spokesperson and reach audiences and tell them about the true magic of the consciousness and all of the creativity that can come out of it. And so I made a proposal that they would pay me a certain amount every month. It was a modest amount. And the president said, I like the beginning, I like the middle, I like the end. He says, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'm going to talk to the board about this. And they said yes. So I'm an official spokesperson for Newcom. And we're going to put into the, Tim already put a link into the chat that will go to a landing page of mine that has a video and so on, but that can let you try it out for $29 a month and see if it works for you, if it's something that resonates with you. So I do want to leave time for questions, and I do have a closing that I want to do. But I know that this group, more than anything, whenever we have a speaker, like with Thomas, even several times, people want to talk and they want to ask questions and they want to contribute to this. So I want to ask you some questions too about, have you been thinking about what is possible? What is still possible for the rest of your life? Robin and I are running some wisdom circles in which we ask that question. And it's a very exciting question because we do have a choice, as I was saying. We can give up. We can decide that age is going to get us, that we're not going to step up and take care of our bodies like Pamela's caring so much about right now. Or we can get depressed by not being involved. This happened to me recently. I was house sitting for my daughter and her little cat, but I hadn't made any arrangements to meet with people. And I found myself really going into a very, very dark place. And in talking to my stepdaughter, who's a therapist, she explained that there's new research that if we don't have 36 structured hours, I think it was 30 structured hours a week, that we can fall into a place where we begin to spiral down. And so I'm asking you, what brings you alive? What could you create and begin to develop in your life that would spark joy in you and spark joy and excitement and upliftment in people around you? Are you thinking about those things? I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear your questions, and I'd love to hear what you specifically are thinking about as an Encore and as like this final hurrah in your life. And I really want to support you in that in every way that I can. So let's just open it to questions, and somebody might help me identify who raises their hand. Thomas, go ahead.
thank you for this, Diana. There are no accidents, of course, as we all know. Just in the past couple days, I have posed an old question to myself again. It was almost 30 years ago that I was initiated into the Mankind Project. And when I came out of that initiation process of the archetypal initiation for modern man, I was so lit up and so on fire that I took a cold shower every morning for a year in order to keep that excitement and that exhilaration alive. And I realized that it's been quite a while since I felt that same way. And I hear you posing the same question. You know, what would light us up? What would exhilarate us? And what is the gift that we give out of that exhilaration? So I don't have any other speech except to say thank you. This is really timely.
Oh,
And I'm
good.
very excited. I'm very excited to follow this red thread here. So,
Thank you. Thank you. I was so lit up this morning, just thinking of addressing this audience. This is great. I see, Paul, you have your hand up.
So what's drawing me, as you know, I'm a poet, about 4 books, maybe 5, I've lost track. But most of my life is spent advising leaders of businesses. And I'm just at that point where it does bring me joy to help business leaders, but nothing like the creative process of finding a moment in time that will inspire people to grow and to, you know, touch their hearts and so on. I have a very big heart. Sometimes it's painful, but as you know, but I'm just at that point where, you know, I just want to be a poet and a philosopher. I want to let go of the business stuff, but of course I have to make a living. So I'm at that juncture. So thank you.
Yeah, maybe a book or producing something that you could share would be great. I see Michelle has her hand up.
Hi, Diana. First of all, thank you so much. You've touched my heart once again. I love you so much. You know that. No, I was just in India and I was doing my story by design work with IT people. But what I realized in the whole experience we had together was we shared more about our personal lives and more about our heartfeltness than anything. And reading the feedback from people in the last days about what it's meant to them. And I don't think I realized, Diana, how much I had missed being with people in person and how much it fills my heart and how sad I've been by not doing that. And it is a reminder that in some ways I've lost something of myself in these last couple of years, not being able to be in person, not being able to express myself fully and be with people and be there to listen and there to contribute. And that for my life to work, I need to do more of this, a lot more of this. This is the calling and this is the encore. And it's just a matter of doing it more because it is what I'm asked to do. And I realized how full my heart is for having had that in the last several weeks.
Yeah, your
Thank you for that.
storytelling, you are so incredibly powerful. The first minute I saw you get up on stage in the Soviet Union, in Helsinki, actually, while we were being trained to go in, I was so deeply touched by your ability to touch people. You're incredible. Afton, I see your hand up.
Yes. Hi, Diana. I did not know how much we have in common. I really am astounded. We're exactly the same age.
Okay.
Both had bipolar fathers in the 40s before they really knew what it was.
Right.
Which leaves one, mine was not mean, but he certainly had manic highs and withdrawn, not available lows. I teach, I've incorporated the ProGolf. I taught it for many years. I've incorporated it into my spiritual groups. Julianne is in one of them now and probably recognizes some of what you described. And I'm at a turning point where I need to still make a living, and I love being a therapist. But I love even more the days when I can be with my art. And I feel a real tear between the two, because on the days that I'm with clients, I just cannot, take an hour to do the art. It just doesn't work. It's the days that I struggle with nothing, and finally something breaks through. So I just wanted to share all the overlaps, and I look forward to sharing more with you.
I'd love to connect more with you. Yes. And I need to make a living still as well. We were wiped out pretty much in 2008, and I can't just sit back, and that's a gift, that's really a gift, that I have to be out there and coming up with creative ways. Okay, let's see. I've got Dr. Jenny up there with her hand up.
So totally appreciate what you're sharing. And I have done TM for a number of years. I've done EEG biofeedback, reading the brain waves. And I have been feeling very isolated during the pandemic. And I was given a gift to go to the gym. So I am going to the gym almost every day. I'm going to the Zumba class and experiencing a lot of the different classes. And I found that the gym is almost like a social network. Yesterday, they have 100 people in the class, and the teacher, who's excellent dancer, took a picture of us and he sent it to me. We were like about over 100 people, and everybody was just expressing their joy. So for me, is to be able to reconnect with people and do something called the movers and shakers, so that we can really come to a forum of talking about dreams, how to formulate them, how to put them in action. I would like to write a book, and I evaluate people and have extraordinary experiences. So I've been thinking about writing a book for 30 years. So that's one of the things where I am, to be able to start or do something about writing a book.
Great. And I applaud you for staying on top of the physicality. This is very urgent to me. I'm trained as a yoga teacher in different modalities. So I do restorative yoga. I also do Qigong in the morning. I also do some strength exercises and stuff like that. It's urgent that as we're aging, we're taking care of ourselves. I think we have time for only one more, because
Diana, can you see me? I've had my
Also
hand up for the
Pamela
last 10
Shandell.
minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead, whoever that is. I don't know.
Samuel.
And then Pamela, very briefly, because we only have about 2 minutes left before I have to do
Okay.
my closing.
I attended Inside Edge many years ago for a summer. I was a teacher, so I couldn't come during the year, just on the summer.
Mhm.
And at my home, I created a Transformational Friends of Santa Monica, which was a miniature version of Inside Edge in my home every week
Oh,
for a
okay.
year and a half. And then I rented a hall and I did all that. And I fall into a feeling of, I didn't get in my 30 structured hours a week during like the pandemic. And I was sort of depressed on and off. And recently I've studied sacred geometry for over 20 years, and I teach sacred geometry. And I've come up with the idea, I'm expecting a windfall in the next year or two. And I would like to create a structure, a home, a meeting center, a community center, a place where it's like a giant med bed. You just walk into the space, and you get transformed, and you get healing with sound, vibration, music, light, and most importantly, the community of people connecting on many levels.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you're on fire with that. That's contagious. When we are on fire with our ideas. And Julia, who's with us today, I was just talking to her last night. She wants to look for some kind of a retirement community that maybe we could all create, because I'm ready to go to a retirement community if you guys are there. Maybe there's something that can happen that we could do. Pamela, you're going to have about 30 seconds here. Can you?
No, I know it's hard to believe, but that's no problem. because you gave me a gift some time back of spark joy.
Mhm.
2 words, spark joy. And then today, ask questions. So those 2 things are enormous gifts. And I am walking around how can I spark joy with this caterpillar, or how can I spark joy with cleaning the stove, but how can I spark joy in life? So I'm telling you, those 2 words are just been a huge, continue to be a huge gift for me and others. Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You know what? There's a woman named Marie Kondo who teaches people how to get rid of things. And she has trademarked the 2 words spark joy. So I can't even publish that. But Emerson said sprinkle joy. And so that is, that's my new way of saying it. Tim is going to now, where I'm going to go into just a very brief closing. There's no more time to speak.
Diana, we actually have until 8:50.
We do? Okay, okay, let's have another couple of questions then.
Yeah, sure.
Who else has their hand up? I don't have the whole screen right here.
Well, Mary has her hand up.
Mary Kelly, goody.
Unmute, Mary.
Mary, you still need to unmute there.
Nope, you still need to unmute.
Is that it? Hello,
There you
hello.
go.
Can you hear me?
There you are, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
Good.
okay. I'm coming to you from Hawaii. So it's 3 hours earlier. And I want you to know, perfect partner, that as I went to bed last night, I said, okay, if I wake up at 4 a.m. Hawaii time, I'm going to see my perfect partner give her talk. And guess what? Bing, right at 4 a.m. Bing, I woke up. So I'm here to support you. You did a great job. And thank you for that 30 hours a week. I've been searching for how to structure my creative time because I know I want to write every day. I want to sing every day. I want to practice guitar every day. So now you've given me a time management tool. And I appreciate that. So that's 6 days a week for 5 hours. So I'm going to break those 5 hours into those 3 things. Thank you so much. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Fantastic.
I love you. You did great.
Thank you, perfect partner. You've been so important in my life. Is there another hand up? I'm not seeing.
Dr. Jenny.
Dr. Jenny?
I have a friend who is from India. She spoke to the Mastery Circle and she has acres of land close to the Himalaya and she wants to build a spiritual spa. So I just sent you her phone number. You can connect with her.
Did you guys see that wonderful movie about the people who went to this retirement place in India? What was the name of that with Judi Dench and everybody?
Oh, yeah. That's marigolds. There's something going, marigolds.
Oh my,
Hotel.
Fantastic Marigold Hotel.
that's what
I
I
watched
want.
it 4 times. 4 times I watched that
love
movie. I
movie.
love it.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to create our own Mastery Circle retirement community.
Yes.
Somewhere
Yeah.
fascinating and fun. Okay,
Tom has his hand up.
Tom, go ahead.
Wow, what an amazing, the creativity of your presentation and then just the creativity of this group is just kind of just freaking me out. It's so amazing. And so having a background similar to yours, as has been mentioned by some other people, is how we choose to recover from that and become who we are and as we continue to grow. And I wanted to add an important note. I'm still playing full court basketball, and exercise is the best way to fight dementia, Alzheimer's, Sudoku, Wordle, Portal.
Wordle, I love Wordle.
All those things are great. Those are nice, but it's what you people have been talking about, that activity each day, that extra swimming, walking, jogging. It's so important. Thanks a lot for what you said today.
Yeah, and just the heart connection. I just feel that it's so vital. I see Robin there. Robin, I want to acknowledge you as someone who has been by my side completely for years here as the president of the Inside Edge, most recently, but also as a business partner in creating wisdom circles. We're going to create a wisdom circle called Expect Magic that'll just be for 6 weeks coming up in September. And you are such an amazing wise woman, and you're going through a lot right now too, as far as reinvention. So can you share just really briefly some of that, even your huge picture on Times Square?
Oh, I don't know if I can bring that up quite that quickly, but thank you, Diana. It's been a privilege, an honor, a delight to be on this journey with you for the last several years. And wouldn't each of you think that would be amazing, right? I mean, how lucky am I? So yes, thank you for the acknowledgement. I did not share this morning. I am trying to get my schedule and myself to where I can come more and more often. I am going through a lot of kind of personal reinvention in the moment, including on my way out of a marriage. And so I'm in a kind of inwardly focused space. But yes, I feel all the love and support, just the energy oozing and radiating in the group. And I'm appreciating that you are so welcoming and it's helpful. So
Diana, we should play your video now.
Okay, let's play my video now.
I'll get it up on the screen, and give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound, so I know that it's working for everybody.
Okay, and I just want to explain a little bit about who this woman is. She inspires me incredibly. She's been one of our favorite speakers at the Inside Edge. Her name is Jan Phillips, and Jan wanted to be a nun more than anything in the world, and she became a nun, and her exuberance was so extraordinary that they threw her out of the convent. It was just too much for them to handle, which I love. You know, I love that exuberance. But she also has just published.
Kicked out.
She just published a book, her memoir called Born Gay, and she is this incredible wise woman. I can put in the chat. We're just going to watch the first 3 minutes of this video, but I feel it's really poignant and it's really important to the context of our morning.
Hi there, I'm Jan Phillips, and I'm here to talk a little bit about why we create. Because so many of us seem disenchanted with our own creative process, discouraged about what we do or fail to do. And sometimes it helps to just take a look at it from another perspective. So I'm going to suggest that we think of ourselves as progeny of creation itself, as a child of the earth and the heavens. No matter what two human individuals came together to cause our conception and our birth, on a higher level, we're the children of the cosmos. We're the actual fingers of creation reaching toward the future. That we are creative forces that can't be anything but creators because we belong to creation. We are creation. We're part of the action of evolution. It's occurring through us as well as to us. To create for human beings is to be in our natural state, which is the state where joy is, where the present moment is where we experience our bliss. One would think of it as a spiritual practice, as a diligent endeavor that we engage in with a level of commitment and a level of consciousness as to this is the thing we do to stay centered, to heal ourselves. Many times when you think of the events that have caused you to be disrupted or caused you turmoil or caused you to feel like you are ensconced in a tragedy, that is an unmastered ordeal. And it's an ordeal that you might consider was invited to you by the hugeness of your soul, which is looking for grist for its creative mill. Your soul is calling out day and night, bring me adventure, bring me big experience. So big experience comes our way, and it often feels like tragedy or calamity or catastrophe, because that's the onslaught of a big experience. That's often its initial impact and our response to it. But in fact, when you consider that it's a gift of a kind, it's what you have to work with. Like Michelangelo had marble, or Mozart had the musical scales. Our human experience is what we have to work with in order to create something, in order to make something of the events of our lives. When we actually sit to do the creative work, it is true that mind at large is collaborating with us. I think every artist I've ever talked to has that experience. When it's not religious, it's not whether you believe in God or not, it's just that when you are inspired and you're doing work, you feel that inspiration is flowing through you, that it's an organic, physiological experience. You just feel a movement from within. You never wait until you feel that lift to begin your work, because that lift, that assist, comes to you as a reward for sitting there, for being at your workbench. It never comes before. So we want to be thinking of it as our natural process is to create. That's the act we engage in. That's like going to the clinic. It's the thing that heals us, that grounds us and centers us, so that we're fully in the present moment. And we all know when we're in the present moment, we cannot be hurt. But in the present moment, there is only light, there's only love, and there's only the now. And in that present moment, everyone is safe. So the question is, how can I get there? How can I stay there? The answer is through your creative work. And what happens ultimately when we do that, when we commit ourselves and get to the workbench and create the thing that we're called to create, when we begin to master our ordeals, to take that catastrophe, to process it, to do the forgiving, to do the mastering until it becomes itself a kind of masterpiece of our own, that we turn that event into a work of art. So that's what the creative process looks like and does for us. And what it does for the world is it lights up the world, because when you express to the community around you the creation that you have achieved, then there's a thing that goes on in the minds and the hearts and the spirits of the people that sounds like, if she can, I can. Or if they can, we can. We're uplifted and encouraged by the creations of others. This is what lights the world. It's what lights our lives. It's what causes our hopes, our visions to become real, to materialize into a force that has an energy that moves people to think new ways, to act in new ways, and to be agents of change, and agents of comfort, and agents of compassion, so that the cutting edge of this culture really is in the hands of the creators. It's in the hands of those who say, I have a consciousness to transform what has happened to me into a new shape that can feed other people. And from that action, I receive the light, the healing energy, and the continuation of love and support from the cosmos that I am here to receive. So it's a natural act. It's the thing that causes us to know bliss, to share bliss, and to stay in the state of bliss. Our creative work is what is the light of the world. Thank you.
So Jan is such a master of creativity, and I encourage everybody to look her up on YouTube and be inspired by her. I have one last little thing to share, and it's another share screen thing. Tim, are you going to put that up, or should I put it up?
Diana, just to let you know, we're at 8:53 right now.
Okay,
So
well, I'll just close with this
one.
one quote. I'll read it to you. It's from F. Scott Fitzgerald, and he wrote in a letter to his daughter, "For what it's worth, it's never too late, or too early in my case. There is no time limit. You can change or stay the same. You can start wherever you want. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you never felt before. I hope you meet people who have a different point of view. I hope you live a life you're proud of. And if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again."